Nima here, KMINYC and defenseforyou.com. Wanted to discuss with you today the mindset of a mugger. All right. So, what's the definition of a mugger? Simple. Definition is going to be someone that decides to attack someone or victim in order to obtain a resource. Okay. So there are two main types of muggers that we're going to discuss today. The first one are what's considered hustlers. These are drug users and pushers, thieves, prostitutes, robbers. All right. Second type that we're going to discuss, and we're going to spend most of our time focusing on this particular category, are predators. These particular individuals see you as a resource. This can range from the hustler, simple hustler, like the robber that wants a relatively safe way to get what they want, all the way to the true psychopath, serial killer, rapist. Okay, so kind of a range, but that's specifically what we're going to be talking about today. And a lot of the times, myself, when you hear me talking about muggers, I typically use the word predator to describe them. They tend to be used interchangeably. Just know that when we're talking about muggers and predators, they're basically the same thing. Some self-defense teachers also will refer to muggers as predators. That's basically what the definition is. A predator, someone who will prey on someone in order to obtain a resource. Rory Miller, the author of the book Meditations on Violence, which is a really good book and resource if you want to know more about this subject. What he discusses is, he talks about is that all predators are somewhere on the antisocial spectrum. And believe it or not, a lot of predators work from, with regards to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, they either work from a place of on the security spectrum or on the self-actualized spectrum. Security being that they just want the resource. The self-actualized being typically rapists, murderers, serial killers will tell themselves that they are able to or justified and to be able to do their actions in order to do what they're doing, which I'll actually get into a little bit later as far as how that affects you and how you can use that to your advantage. Something else to also consider with regards to predators is that they want something from you, and that they've gone so far as to be able to other you to the point of being able to use force in order to take it. Now, what do I mean by you being othered? Basically, it means that they don't see you as human, that they just see you as a means to an end, as a resource, or an obstacle to be able to get what they want. All right. What they've decided in their mind is that what they want is much more important than you as a human being or whatever it is that you have. Little psychology lesson. Humans are different from other animals in that we have what's called a thinking brain, and we can rationalize and justify our actions in a plethora of ways in order to cope with what we did. Predators and criminals do the exact same thing. They can convince themselves that they're both the good guy and the victim at the same time. Rory Miller talks about in his books, and there's also countless stories of inmates, when talking about their crime, they'll basically justify what they've done. They'll say, this person had it coming, or this person did X, Y, Z to me, whatever the case may be. So understand that predators and criminals can do the same thing. Another example, Al Capone as well. Infamous gangster basically was saying that, hey, the government is more evil than I am, I'm just providing a service. All right? Another thing to consider also with regards to predators is that they choose their victims based on needs and risks. All right? Believe it or not, crime is not random. Victims are chosen for a specific reason, and people are attacked for specific reasons. Okay? So whenever you're on the Citizens app or whenever you hear of crime happening, almost always it is calculated. There's a rhyme and reason behind it. Okay? It could be the victim was chosen over a long period of time, or it could be that split second they decided, all right, I'm going to target this particular individual. But there's a rhyme and reason as far as why and how they chose their victims. All right, which I'll go into a little bit later as far as how they do that. Another thing to consider is that they'll likely use or have a weapon on them. A lot of the times it's used as intimidation, and this is to be able to get compliance from you. Okay. Other times they'll use a quick burst of violence, whether it's a sucker punch, blindsiding you, even a choke, in order to be able to get what they want. Basically, the reason why they do these things is they want to minimize how much damage that they take, while at the same time not drawing attention to themselves as much as possible. Something to keep in mind if you're ever approached by a predator is if they really wanted to, they could have just killed you, stabbed you, whatever the case is, taken what they wanted and go. They didn't, so you want to keep this in mind because you can actually use this to your advantage to either minimize the damage or to be able to help yourself get out of that situation altogether. Which actually goes into my next point about predators is that for these individuals, going to jail is meaningless to them, okay? Rory Miller discusses in his book, Meditations on Violence, it's just a pit stop for their lifestyle. When they're extremely hungry, cold, or feel sick, they'll deliberately get caught doing a minor crime, and while they're in jail, they'll be given food, cleaned up, and healthy enough to continue their lifestyle. He continues, jail is neither a deterrent nor rehabilitative for these criminals. It's literally R&R for their lifestyle. It's enabling. Page 94 in case you want to reference it. How do predators choose their victims? Well, they tend to look for someone that is least likely or very unlikely to injure them, who looks, moves, and talks like they're not going to fight. Now, this could mean that they're meek and timid, but could also mean that they're overly socialized and polite. All right? So, what are some solutions that we can do to be able to minimize our chances of becoming a victim? Couple things that we can do, 3 of them right off the bat: awareness, body language, posture. Awareness is something that I discussed in a previous video. If you haven't watched it, go ahead and do that if you'd like. There are 2 parts to it, what is awareness and some exercises on how to improve our awareness. The next couple pieces that I'll explain here, body language and posture. By using these 2 things, you can actually diminish your chances of being a victim by being assertive, by being comfortable in your body. This includes having proper posture, chest up, head up. Those are some simple ways that you can be able to look more comfortable and assertive in your body. Also, being disobedient when a stranger tries to manipulate you. For example, if they try and ask you, hey, some stranger, hey, do you have the time? Or if some guy gives you a compliment and you kind of brush them off, and they say, oh, come on, I didn't think you were going to be like everyone else, and they're basically trying to use that as a way to manipulate you into their trap. A couple other things that you can do as well, having friends around you really helps. Also being alert, and this is where awareness comes into play. So what happens if you are approached by a predator, okay? If they approach you with the weapon or try to use intimidation, there are a couple things that we teach our students to help them navigate this scenario. Biggest thing is compliance is a very important piece. A lot of the times, if you give the mugger or the predator what they want, what they're asking for, most likely a lot of the times they're going to leave. Okay. Keep in mind they want to try and minimize the damage and the attention. All right. So another thing to consider is that you have to ask yourself, depending on what they're asking for, is what you have worth the risk of fighting back and getting hurt or potentially losing your life over it. So that's a judgment call that you have to make depending on what they're asking for. So you catch yourself in this situation, okay, what are some things that you can do, all right? A couple things that we like to train our students on or that I like to teach, okay? First and foremost, stay as calm as you possibly can, all right? Now, how do you do this? The biggest thing to keep in mind is that when this happens, whether it's the attack comes, whether it's they're grabbing you or they're using a weapon, whether a gun or a knife, a lot of the times your adrenaline hits and all of a sudden you stop breathing, okay? A lot of the times we freeze, that freeze reaction happens, and a lot of it can be combated, believe it or not, by actually breathing. When you breathe regularly, that helps to calm your heart rate down, you're able to control what's going on, you don't freeze as much, okay? So when the situation happens, make sure to breathe, okay? Stay as calm as you can, assess the situation. Where are you? Where are they? What's going on? What are they asking for? Okay? That's the first one. Second piece is we always like to teach our students, keep your hands by your side, okay? I always like to keep it below wherever the attacking hand or weapon is. The next piece, which is talk to them, okay? Talk to them. Use your voice. If they're asking you, hey, let me see your hands, give me your wallet, give me your money. At that point, okay, sorry, calm down, relax, okay, you want my money? It's in my pocket, here it is, okay, I'm getting it. There you go. Use your voice, talk to them, okay? Let them know what you're gonna do, and then give it to them. A lot of times when we train with our students, we go over various scenarios as far as using your voice because we're actually trying to learn the technique, whatever the case is. So we want them to use their voice as a distraction before executing the technique. If you're not trained and you catch yourself in this situation, use your voice to keep them calm. Let them know, hey, I'm gonna comply. Here's my possession. There you go. Okay, done. All right? So you've done that. You've done compliance, great, but you catch yourself whether they're either continuing to make requests of things they want from you, or they tell you you're coming with them and they're gonna move you to another location. Unfortunately, this is when the situation has gone from bad to worse. At this point, if they're trying to move you to another location, you've gotta fight back because God knows what they're gonna do with you. Whatever the case is, you do not want to be in that situation. You do not want to find out. And begging and pleading with them is only going to make it worse, okay? So at this point, you have to fight back, all right? By any means necessary. If that means you kick, scratch, claw, scream, use your voice, whatever it is that you have to be able to get yourself out of that situation. Drawing attention is a huge piece as well, using your voice, all right? So this is the situation where they've come up to you, they've intimidated you. The other scenario, like I mentioned, the sudden attack, the ambush. What's the solution for that? You just have to fight back, okay? At this point, you get hit, you have to come right back and fight back. How do you do this? It comes with training, okay? The reason being is because when that happens, you're just adrenalized, you're not thinking, you have to go straight into attack mode and fight back. They hit you once, twice, you have to hit them with 4, 5, 6 attacks and keep attacking. This point, basically, the best defense is good offense. A lot of times when I train my students or train others, I tell them, even if you're trying to do the defense, the technique, whatever the case is, even if you get hit, you still have to hit back. You have to fight back. Do not stop, okay? The self-defense is just as much, if not more, your will and your mental strength as is your physical strength. So how do you prepare yourself from potentially being attacked by a predator or from a sudden attack? Well, it comes with training. There are many different forms of training you can do your research. There are many different types of self-defense systems out there, Krav Maga, BJJ, Sistema, etc. Do your research, find out which one's in your area, find out which one best fits your needs, all right, and start training. I know that with our crazy times and our restrictions, it can be a little difficult, but still, if there's a will, there's a way. If this is something that you want to do, definitely go ahead and do that. There are definitely Zoom classes that are available. I know it's not the same as, say, in-person training, but still, it's better than nothing. Gets you in that muscle memory, gets you thinking as far as going from a prey to more of a predator, so that way you can be able to actually hold your own, and you know that you have the confidence to be able to hold your own in case something goes down. If you liked the video, go ahead and please like and subscribe and share. Also, if there's anything in particular that you want to see, feel free to comment down below and let me know. Otherwise, guys, go ahead, be smart, train smart, and as always, be safe out there. Until next time.